Hello everyone, my name is Pisek or Benz. I'm the host of Case Done channel that you are in today. I hope you guys are doing happy and well out there. For me, it has been a very busy several weeks so far. But eventually, I'm here in our 17th episode. I promise to bring you insights and values of AI and generative AI so that you can empower yourself and your team. And before we continue, I would like to thank for all the comments and questions that I have received on our YouTube videos, and I promise I'll do my best to answer them all in the next coming weeks. So for this week, we will focus mostly on developments from OpenAI. The first topic is going to be about ChatGPT Canvas, which I think is a very helpful tool, and I have found myself using it quite often in terms of helping me write and helping me code. And on the second topic, it's going to be about a new repo from OpenAI. It's called a Swarm, which is a lightweight agentic framework that allows you to do multi-agent orchestration. So this will be the second topic, and for the Swarm, we will also have a coding walkthrough as well. But before we actually start, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. We are Case Done. We are on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, X, Substack, as well as GitHub as well. So let's get started with our first topic. So OpenAI has released a new feature on its ChatGPT product, and this is called ChatGPT with Canvas. This is actually, you can actually visit its website to read about it here, but when you actually use ChatGPT and you can correctly trigger this feature, what you will see on one of the panels is a kind of like a live text document that allows you to code and write in terms of editing and revisioning this kind of work. So it's kind of like similar to the workbench idea from Anthropic products a few months back, but now it has arrived as named Canvas for ChatGPT. And this is going to be what we are focusing on for the first topic. So for a quick summary, this tool is actually for work that needs editing and revising. And this tool will actually help this kind of works in terms of it allows the model to understand the context better, allows the model to edit a specific section of the writing document or the code. So it's target editing. It allows the model to make suggestion in line as well. And it's actually commonly used. You can use it for most of the editing tasks out there that you will need, and therefore the main two types of application is writing and coding. So how it works is when you choose the model ChatGPT with a Canvas, the ChatGPT will try to detect if it needs to open a Canvas panel or not. So there is a chance that it fails to do that. But from OpenAI website, it claims to have an accuracy of about 80 to 90% of that kind of true correct detection. If it doesn't happen, sometimes ChatGPT fails to recognize that it needs to open the canvas. You can explicitly tell it to do so by use Canvas in your prompt, and this will force ChatGPT to trigger the Canvas panel. Right now it's available in beta only, but OpenAI promises that this tool will be available for free when this is out of beta. So as I mentioned, the first commonly used task is writing, and this tool will help in terms of adding, suggest some edit in line, or also feedback from the live document in the Canvas as well. It has some buttons that you will actually see on the right hand side corner right there allows you to adjust the length of the document as well as adjust the difficulty of reading. This is the bottom I'm talking about. And it also has a button that will do the final polish, like correcting for grammar, increasing clarity and consistencies. And, sometimes you want to add emoji as well, and it has a capability to do so. These are commonly used editing features that the Canvas allow you to do kind of intuitively and quickly. So let's actually go play with the Canvas right now. So you just go to your ChatGPT as you normally do. And here is my ChatGPT. And in order to do so, to choose the canvas, you need to pick it from this option over here. So let's try writing task. The first one that we'll be doing is maybe I would like to write a blog. So help me write a blog that compares I would say like predictive AI and generative AI. So again, I have chosen the model 4.0 with the canvas, and when I click this, hopefully it can detect that it needs to trigger the canvas feature. Right, so it correctly triggered the canvas feature, and the right hand side panel pops up, and this is going to be a living document during this session, allow us and the model to understand that it needs to correct something here rather than generating a new response. So in order to be illustrative, I would just use the same prompt here, but open another ChatGPT session. But I'm not going to choose the canvas. I'm going to choose just the normal one that we usually use. So when you hit that, what you see here is you will get a text bubble for response back from the ChatGPT. And if you're happy with it, fine, this is great. But if you're not happy, what you need to do next is you type in the this text bubble, text input box, and then you hit run again. And what is going to happen is ChatGPT is not going to come to correct this chunk. It's going to rewrite a new thing. And this is inconvenient, right? In terms of editing and revising some drafts. It's not the way that it should be. And this is the way it should be because, so the first thing that we mentioned is suggest, edit, inline, and feedback, right? For example, I can select this part of the text. I can say that make the title more catchy. Here we go. So because I select the part, GPT knows that it needs to focus on that part and fix it rather than fixing the whole thing or rewriting the whole thing, right? So this is one of the good feature. The second one is going to be this button here. Actually, it allows you to do some quick editing. This one adds emoji. This one add a final polish for the whole thing. This is adjusting reading level. This is adjusting length, and this is suggest edit, right? So let me just hit this button, and I want to see what is going to happen. So I just click suggest edit. Now it's highlighting parts that it thinks that it can improve. So, and this is going to be its suggestion, right? So let's take a look a little bit here. This section is about what is predictive AI. Predictive AI is all about making informed guesses about the future based on existing data. Think of it as a crystal ball for businesses, which is not very technical, but sure, fine. Though instead of magic, it uses advanced algorithm and analysis. Now, this is a suggest edit part Predictive AI processes historical information and looks for patterns to forecast outcomes. And this is its suggestion. You could enhance this by briefly mentioning a specific type of algorithm commonly used in predictive AI, such as regression, analysis, and machine learning. I think this is great suggestion. I can click apply. I did click. Now it's applying the action that I commanded to do so. So yeah, this is suggest edits. Now let's try reading difficulties. At the bottom you have kindergarten versions, and at the top is graduate school. So let's try the graduate school first, and we'll see how it goes. Now I think it needs to rewrite the whole thing. Like the whole thing was written at some level of difficulty. Now we up it to a next level, and therefore it will apply that whole thing to the whole paragraph. That's why it's rewriting everything. So let's come back to this paragraph. What is predictive AI? Predictive AI focuses on making data-driven inferences about future outcomes by leveraging existing datasets. Now you can see kind of like vocabulary is upgraded to be more sophisticated and more technical. Now another option for editing is the length. So you have options to shorten it or making it longer. So I chose to make it longer, and it looks like it's a little bit longer. And you can read through it, right? Here we go. Key differences, generative AI, complementary relationship. Yes. So yeah, it's much longer than before. And what else do we have? We did that, we did that, we did that. We add emoji. This is going to apply for the whole paragraph. For the whole blog. So let's just take a look at it. Like now emojis appear almost everywhere. This could be desirable for some applications, maybe like a social media post, but for a relatively formal blog post, at least in my style, this is not what I want. So if you apply some edits and it appears that you don't like it, you have an option to go back to a previous version. And to do that is very quickly, it's just a button over here, previous versions. You can also have throw changes that highlight what has been changed more, of course, and in color. So it's gotta like really help a little bit. Okay, so I don't want the version with the emoji, so I am going to click previous version. But what I want you to notice before I click that is that whatever action that you clicked, ChatGPT will verbose it out right here. But now if I go back to the previous version, I'm going to click it right here, and notice on the left hand side that nothing happened. So when you go back to the previous version, the chat history wasn't updated. I'm not sure whether it has any implication or not, but this is one thing that I noticed. All right, so all in all, we have what is predictive AI, what is generative AI, and then key differences, complementary relationships. This is great, but maybe I want to add another discussion topics, like in terms of the timeline. So what I can still do in terms of adding or editing here, instead of picking from the panel, is I can just type, right? I want to add a section that discusses about the timeline of AI development, so that we know when predictive AI was dominant, and when generative AI has become the recent buzz. Okay, so you can always suggest changes in the chat session on the left hand side, but it will be less targeted, right? So yeah, right now the timeline appears at the first section, which I might not like that at all. So yeah, you can, again, once it finishes doing its thing, you can try to say that, okay, you want the timeline to be in later section. You can try to type it again, or maybe I'll try here. Okay, I want the timeline section to be after just before the conclusion. Here we go. What is it going to do? I bet it's going to rewrite everything because it needs to shuffle the flow. Did it? Oh well, I think it's kind of messed up. Nothing has changed, but it has said that it's moved timeline of AI development section to just before the conclusion. So again, what I did, I select this guy and I said move the timeline of AI development to before the conclusion. So my guess is that because I select this part of the text, now it just focuses on this particular section. Maybe I would just try it again. Move the timeline section to just before the conclusion. Now, so you can see that you probably need to be more careful of what you select. If you want to rearrange things, you might not want to reselect that. You might want to apply it to the chat box so that it kind of know the whole context and readjust the whole thing for you better. Okay, and yeah, this is how you use Canvas for writing blogs. Let me show you another application. Here we go. This is the always, right? So yeah, if you want to change anything, you cannot select it. You can't do anything. Oh, actually, one thing that I want to show you is the Canvas allows you to type. You can manually type it in right here. So let's buckle up and join me. You can do that. You can always manual editing it, right? Okay, next one that I want to show you is going to be about using the Canvas to help write a poem. So let me just bring my notes here. Okay, write a poem about cat and dog chasing a mouse under a sakura tree in a lightly snowy day. And just want to make sure that I want to use a canvas. I can say you use Canvas. Okay. Sorry, it was an incomplete prompt. About. Okay. Here we go. Now the canvas got triggered and a poem was written. So let's say that we want shorter. Well, you know, like this is like what, 5 stanzas? Too many for this generation. So I want it shorter. What is it going to do? 3, not bad. I want it to be much shorter. Okay, I think, you know, you can try to reduce it as much as you can. Again, you can increase the complexity of your language. And here we go. Add emojis maybe. Let's do the final polish. So the final polish is just going to go through from top to bottom and improve things. And now I think at the back of the code here, in terms of improving things, it actually looks at the whole context and trying to improve. Just for a finish, maybe back to the previous example where we are writing blog about predictive AI and generative AI. I can do the final polish here as well, and it's going to be significantly improved piece of work. All right, that's not much there, right? Okay, what else you can do with this canvas? What you can do is actually, you can use it for writing. If you still need to respond to an email to a very, very important person for your company, you probably need to do it manually, right? And a canvas actually is a great place for you to use ChatGPT as an assistant to write, and you can add a final touch in the canvas. So you can actually do that. Actually, let me just try to see if I can. Well, okay, maybe I'll skip this example. But what you can see, okay, let me try to find what I have done. So I actually prepared a message conversation that's the case. You know what? Here we go. Okay, let me show you what this is about. So assuming that you have email back and forth of someone, right? In this case, we have got an email from a customer to our salesperson. Subject is special coffee bean inquiry. Hey, do you have a blue satin bean from Guatemala or what? Let me know. You know, this is kind of like, you know, Gen Z language, I think. And then, assuming that your store doesn't have that, so your salesperson responds back with, thanks so much for reaching out. I'm afraid we currently don't have that. It's rare, and if you're interested, we'd love to suggest some other beans for you. Let me know. And then the customer respond back with, okay, so you don't have it. What's even the point? What else you got then? So if you want to write a response email with the canvas, what you can do here is you can give the communication history as a context and ask the ChatGPT Canvas to help you. All right, so here we go. We are going to actually attach that correspondence to the ChatGPT for all with the canvas, and then you would just say, help me write a response email to the customer. The tone must be helpful, friendly, and empathetic. Okay, here we go. So yeah, you can prepare the correspondences as a file, attach it to upload it and write the prompt. And what you have noticed here is that the canvas, even though we are in the canvas mode, it didn't get triggered. You have two options. You can come here and edit. You say use canvas. I think it will work, but maybe another method here is to regenerate with Canvas. Still doesn't do it. Okay, so in this case, it's kind of failed. So for a backup, you can say use Canvas in your prompt, and it should know that now. Open Canvas. Okay, and here is the suggested email to respond to a kind of like angry Gen Z customer. Hi A, I totally get your frustration. The blue satin bean is really something special. It's disappointing when it's not available. We are always working to source unique beans like that, but sometimes it's tough to get our hands on. In the meantime, I'm happy to help you find something else you love based on your interest. We can recommend this, right? Both have complex flavor profiles. If that I think it surprises you, could surprise you. Would you like me to send over more details? Okay, and I can happily say that close with a 10% discount to appease him. Okay, you can do that, right? Select the part you want, and then you can add information. Or you can do this. Oh, it hasn't finished doing its thing yet. So what I want to do next is, this is hard to read. I want to reformat to bullet point for easy to read. Each beans also cost $50 per bag, and each bag is 200 grams. So you can always select a part that you want to change and specify what change you need, and I think it will try to meet your expectations. Here we go. Well, okay, add more detail, use your own knowledge. Okay, not sure if it's going to work, but let's see if it knows how. Here we go. So that was surprising. I specified only one of them, but GPT did for both of the beans. So yeah, you can help. You can now use ChatGPT to help craft emails for your very, 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 very important person or customers. Okay. Now I have shown you 3 use cases for using ChatGPT for with a Canvas for writing tasks like a blog, a poem. Who does it anymore? I don't know. And eventually a email response. Now let's go back to this one. The second category of task that the Canvas can help is coding. Again, it will help you suggest and fix code. It can review the code for you. It can add logs, add comments, fix some bugs, correcting itself, and even change the programming language. Maybe you are writing this, or you get some code from someone in C++ and you want to port it over to Python. It can do that too. So let's actually go explore what we can do with that. So for this demo, I am going to use the prompt that I have used, so that it's kind of like consistent. So here is my prompt. I want a ChatGPT 4 with a Canvas to help me write codes that will help me do machine learning problems. So here is my my prompt. Acting as a senior data scientist and expert in Python programmer, and expert yeah, sure, expert Python programmer, you'll write the Python code meant to be used in Jupyter Notebook. The code will train classical machine learning models on a given dataset whose data is contained in a file called data.csv. The machine learning problem can be either classification or regression. You attempt to detect that yourself. If you're not sure which, you ask the user for confirmation. You will run necessary standard data pre-processing as needed. If you do, you need to let the user know. For example, if you decided to fill NA with mean value, you inform the user. You will suitably do train test split or careful cross-validation. You inform the user of the option you choose. You will train, evaluate, and compare several models. Make sure you use sklearn. This is nothing fancy. It's just very detailed prompting of describing what I want to do. And to make sure that the canvas got trigger, I will just add use canvas at the end of the prompt here. And here we go. The magic is now happening. ChatGPT 4 is doing its task, writing code for me in a very detailed manner. Okay, that's a lot of things. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is add comments. You can add comments. So by adding comments, you can come here to a shortcut over here, and you can have this one, add comments, add logs, fix bugs, port to languages, and code review. So let's try this one, add comments, so that we know what is going on here. Here we go. Now you can see that it's going through line by line, section by section, adding comments as it should have done before. I think at the back it could be just agentic workflow in terms of, like, reviewing yourself, your the AI reviewing itself, but I can be wrong. And you can also see changes, what happened in the code right here. Here we go. So many things here. So okay, let's spend some time going through the part of the code so we know what is going on here. This is importing, nothing fancy here. Data got uploaded there. Now this one is checking for missing values. Then if it has anything there, it will print out this missing value detected, imputing missing values with mean for numerical columns and most frequent for categorical columns. So this is, I don't want to say standard procedure, but this is what most people would do, and maybe this is not the right thing. Like the missing value can mean something, and replacing a mean value for a missing value can be a wrong thing. So yeah, this is what most people do, but doesn't mean that it's completely correct. Okay. Anyway, so you go on with this. So there will be some pre-processing here. It's going through column by column and do some kind of like fit transform for numerical. This is numeric features and categorical features. Now this is going to be separating the X, which is the input to the model, and the Y, which is going to be the target or the ground truth value. And then it's going to be doing trying to classify whether this problem is a classification problem or a regression problem. And then it's going to split the data, one for training and the other one for testing. And this is very, very important. Okay, anyone who knows anything about doing a proper machine learning will need to have this step at least thought through and done correctly. Now, this is more manipulation, like pre-processing. You want to scale it, so you don't want some if I can borrow neural network languages, you don't want some values, some axes to be elongated. You want kind of like normalized ball shape kind of thing, so that all the learning can be done easily. You don't want vanishing gradient or exploding gradient or whatsoever there. And this is about the models, because we asked it to use several models, to train some models and compare the performance. This is what the model suggested. See, logistic regression here, we use logistic regression from sklearn module, decision tree, random forest, and support vector machine or classification, and so on here. So these are models that is going to go through in the train evaluation process. And as you can definitely see here, it's going through the model, fit the model, use the model that has been trained, predict the value, and then calculate performance. Now in terms of accuracy, accuracy only for the classification and the mean square value for the regression. All right, there's so many things that you can improve here, right? For example, let's focus on the decision tree. This is like, creating an default decision tree. No parameters of how the decision tree is constructed, how many depth, how many leaves. So this is like a very crappy version. Random forest as well. So what I can do here is I can suggest the model add model variations in terms of hyperparameters. For examples, this random forest classifier can be configured with number of trees, depth, node depth, etc. Also add more types of models. Here we go. Let's see what is going to happen. Okay, now it's kind of like trying to rewrite everything. Eventually gets to the important section here. Here we go. So now decision trees kind of like do two things. Max depth none. This is going to overfit as hell. But okay, I'm not going to be pedantic about this just yet, and I have a good reason for it. Maybe I just state the reason right now. So with all the help that you can get from ChatGPT, right, you will get something like this. It just doesn't know enough about the craft yet. So eventually, this is my view of the world. AI engineer or AI scientist or data scientist who actually become a craftsman, who actually knows how to actually train the model well, just beyond what the ChatGPT can do right now. So this is actually what I train my team members as well, asking them to be the best of data scientists, being the craftsman of machine learning and AI. Okay, so yeah, now back to what we have at hand here is we have varieties of models and their variations. So what we can do next is I want it to be better at this. I want it to, right now it's not in a config file. Think about this, maybe you want the model to be in a config file where a data scientist can just config those files rather than come here and play with this code. So I will ask it again as a bubble right here. Rewrite it so that it looks, it is like a config file. Let's see how it's going to change. Okay, everything else above that looks entirely untouched. here we go. This is more like it, right? Config file, in Python dictionary, roughly JSON format, that you can save it somewhere else and import over. So, okay, I am not going to change more of this. So we have this, right? Variation, aggregate performance. Okay. So actually, we are at the stage where we can try. I will copy this code, the entire code here. Start my notebook version 2. Okay. Paste my code there and select a kernel, and this kernel is, I think, a canvas. So what we did, we copy and paste the whole thing, and I am going to try to run this. Okay, now it's ongoing. That's finished. All the models have been processed. Look at that. Detected problem classification. Oh, by the way, the data that we have is the iris data, which is classifying some kind of leaves or flowers based on their measurements of petals, length, depth, and so on. So this is kind of like a basic toy data set for classical machine learning. So here we go. It's a classification problem, correct? The data has been split into 80 for train and 20 for for test. So this is good. Features have been standardized. Logistic regression accuracy, this much. Classification report, good. Okay. Now what I can see here is getting difficult to read, right? I want the comparison to be done in a table so I can actually quickly see everything. So to fix that, this is where the evaluation output part is. I want the comparison of model performances to be in pandas table. Not sure. Oh, it has already import panda, so it should be fine. Okay, let's hope it's doing the right thing. Now it's going through all the codes, all the lines, one by one. What I'm curious right now is how many tokens have you consumed? But with ChatGPT interface, I have no way to actually know that. Okay, it's getting slow. We must be patient. Here we go. So let's see what has been changed. The top part is clear, but only the bottom part here, right? Okay, so I can copy the whole thing, come to the Jupyter notebook, delete the whole thing, paste the new one, and run again. Data frame has no append. The error has happened in line result df over here. This is bad. Okay, so now it has bugs, right? So let me just retry it again. Make sure that I didn't just poorly copied over. So I'm copying the whole thing, pasting, and running. So now we found a bug, gladly. So what we can try to do here is fake bugs. I'm wondering if it will catch itself. Okay, trying to fix some bugs. For what it's worth, I think this is a great tool, and I have found myself using this canvas to do Python coding for mocking up data. I can type in and add my condition in the code, or add my additional criteria on the left hand side here. Here we go. Here I have reviewed and fixed a potential bugs. Specifically, I replaced depreciated data frame append with panda concat. So is this the part that is fixed? So I am going to just copy this. Sorry. Here we go. I think this is where the bug we encountered. So let me just copy this part, and I think it's over here. Okay, I want to keep the comment. Okay, now here we go. Let's try to run it again. There we go, guys. It can correct itself, at least 5 bugs on its own, and correct itself. And this is the result. I can see that roughly for a very quick and dirty classification model, I can go with support vector machine. Right. Now, the question really is, can I trust this guy at all? At this point in time, I still don't, because the hyperparameters of all these models hasn't actually been explored properly. So that actually got me thinking, which I haven't tried this before. I want you to be more thorough at hyperparameter tuning of all the models. You may use grid search, maybe, from sklearn. Let's see what it's going to do. Grid search is like if you have, let's say, 2 hyperparameters for a particular model, and one of the hyperparameter you want to sample 3 values, and the second one you want to sample 2 values. What you do is a grid, and then you end up exploring 6 3 by 2 or 6 combinations. So it's not the best. It's actually a brute force approach to do that, and might not be the best way forward here. So seems like for that grid search thing, it has changed this. It moved the code to, yes, the C parameter. That's correct. If you are a machine learning or this data scientist, this is correct. It's the way to do it. And then it's going to apply grid search over here. Yeah. All right. So I suspect that there will be some bugs here, but let's give it a go anyway. Oh, looks like it's doing fine. Now it's doing grid search. It's taking some time. But the outcome of this exercise is not the point. The point is for you to actually see the power of ChatGPT Canvas, and I actually encourage my team members to actually use this in their code while we are if they are too lazy to just use anything else. All right, and that's actually the end of the first topic. Again, ChatGPT Canvas is a very powerful tool, and I think you should use it. Now, before going on to the next topic, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, Case Done by AI. We are on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, Stack, and X as well. And if you think this is useful, don't just subscribe. You can tell your friends, spread the word, post it on your Facebook or LinkedIn. All right. On the next topic, we are going to talk about a repo called Swarm from OpenAI. It has been a few weeks, and the reception of the community is great. But again, if you actually go to the repo, they explicitly mention that this is not going to be maintained. It's just for educational purposes and for experimental being experiment for the agentic or multi-agent workflow that they are trying to do. I think it's still worth looking into. It doesn't really take a lot of your time to actually learn about this repo, and it actually actually show you what will be the agentic framework that OpenAI's next real product will be. So yeah, just take a look at it. It's going to be fun at least. All right. So according to its website, it's educational only for exploring lightweight multi-agent orchestration. It focuses on coordination between the agent and what they think the agentic workflow should be. Supposed to be highly controllable, but I can show you that not really. There's some uncontrollable in there. Easily testable, not sure about that either. Yes and no is gray area there. For the repo, it's here, guys. Like the link is not that complicated. OpenAI Swarm, and you will arrive at this repo. The README file is at least helpful, I would say. You will get a lot of information already from reading through this README file. But if you actually want to see how pieces fit together in detail, go into the examples and explore a few things, and then you'll see how they actually compose and what they think about how the agentic workflow could be. So just for a quick summary, it's actually meant for breaking down tasks into independent capabilities or tasks or instructions that AI should do. You don't want to cram everything into a single prompt because it's going to break. The AI is going to get confused. So a swarm, being agentic, it actually supports breaking down the independent work, or at least scope it down into a manageable chunk for the AI to handle. And this is the core part, guys. For all the agentic framework out there, the key part is to break down the work and allocate this into different AI models to handle it better. A little bit of more detail is for this repo, it relies on chat completions API, not the assistant API. The assistant API is the upgraded version where it kind of like works in threads. Threads can have memory management in there, as well as tool and files management in there. So right now, for this, at least in this version, the Swarm repo relies mostly on chat completion, meaning no memory, no threads, right? You need to handle everything else on your own. Well, that's because it's being, as I mentioned, lightweight. They focus on the mechanics of collaboration between agents. What agent should do what, how they will pass off work when the first agent doesn't seem to fit to itself. Okay, the whole repo got down to 4 components. This is what I can boil and get to the essence for you guys. Agent class or agent instance is actually the main actor. What you need to do for the agent is to tell who you are and what you do. Well, at least, right? And you can you put more detail into the instruction. Sometimes I like to call it a prompt or system prompt. As much detail as you need to improve the performance. You can start off with, who you are, what you do, and if you see that this agent doesn't do what you want to do, add more instruction to this later. And the next component for the agent is tools. Tools, actually, this is supposed to be functions, but again, conceptually, tools are packed as a list. You give it a tool as a function, a tool is a Pythonic function, and you pack it up and give it to the agent. Hey, you know these tools and you should use it. So agent is the main actor, and when you have so many agents together, the next one is the orchestration layer, and this is done by this guy, the swarm instance, and we'll call it client as a variable when we run the code at runtime. The next two components are important as well. The first one is the context variables. The way I think about context variable is a notepad. You can write down information, important pieces of information that you think you need to write down so that you can refer it back. For example, could be the name of the user. If this chat session is supposed to support a particular person, this could be a relevant information. And for another application where this person will be dealing with some purchasing order, another important context variables that you need is probably going to be the order ID, right? So you can add as many context variables as much as you can, because this is done as a dictionary. And the last thing is messages. Pretty much is a chat history, but because AI agents have tools, it's not just a list of text messages anymore. It's going to be a list of text, tools, actions, and so on. But all in all, this is a chat history. All right, so you need 4 of these components to use the swarm repo. Maybe you don't need the context variable, but you will enhance your application, or I don't want to call it application, you will enhance your demo when you incorporate the usage of context variables. All right, these are the concepts, guys. Now let's actually get to the coding section. Okay, are we there? No. Okay, this is the code that I want to walk you through. The basic one, just to show the mechanics before I show you the real demo, where it's an AI working in an online, a cloud cafe. All right, this section is nothing. It's just uploading my API key from a file kept inside this folder. This is actually copy and paste from the main repo right here. But the gist is here. You define your agent, give it a name, give it an instruction or system prompt for this particular agent, and you equip it with tools. Tools are now called function as an argument. You define a tool as a Pythonic function and you give it to an agent. Now, this function is special in a sense that this function returns an instance of an agent. This is a way of the Swarm repo to explicitly hand off tasks from one agent to the other. So what it's going to do here is, if agent A thinks that I cannot do this, it has to be other agent, and agent B is going to be helpful for me. It's going to call this function, and when it calls this function, it will retrieve agent B back, and the orchestration layer inside this swarm will bring up agent B to respond to the text, the incoming text. And this is how it works. You define agents, you define functions, and now you can see that this function links between agent A and agent B. And when you are happy with the relationship and the definition of the functions, you kick off the swarm with this run command, and you pass in messages to chat history, like so. Here is the mechanics, guys, and I think you're ready to jump into a real demo. Now, I find it useful to actually think about the flow of your agents, because you need to define functions. Here in this application, I will have 3 AI agents. The receptionist, by the way, this is a cafe. My cafe only sells coffee, specialty coffee beans, and specialty tea leaves only, and I have 3 agents. The first agent is the receptionist. It's only him who responds or replies to the user. He has 3 tools. One tool is related to writing down in the notepad what customer, who are we talking to, the name of the customer. The second tool is a tool that is related to payment. And the last one is about carting, like what kind of item does the user wants to buy or what he wants to remove. This is a carting tool. For the coffee expert agent, he has only one tool. It has a coffee search tool. This tool will search information about coffee that our cafe has and return that information back to the expert. That's the only purpose of this tool. This is a segue if you want to implement RAG in case of if you have so many products and you need to wrap it into a vector embedding database. This is where you are going to implement RAG. I'm not going to implement it today. I don't want to walk you guys down with all the details here. I want you to see the structure and the mechanics and how the jigsaws fit together. Now, the last AI is the T expert. Of course, he has a T search tool. Now, what I have described to you is what my agents are and what tools they have. The next step is to define the connection, the flow of passing off tasks when one agent doesn't know what to do. So I want the receptionist to ask the coffee expert when the user asks about coffee, and when the coffee expert gets the answer, it needs to pass the role back to the receptionist. That's why I need to create 2 Pythonic functions. One of them is called transfer to coffee expert, and I will show you a way to where to equip this function. Definitely, it's going to be equipped to the receptionist because the receptionist need to call this function, and this function will transfer the role to the coffee expert. Another function is a transfer to receptionist. So once the coffee expert has finished his thing, it needs to put the role back to the receptionist, and this is the responsibility of this Pythonic function, transfer to receptionist. Similar thing for the T expert. I need to write a transfer to T expert function and equip it to the receptionist, and I can reuse transfer to the receptionist function for the T expert to pass on the role back to the receptionist. So once I have this diagram of how I want the agent to pass off, it's very easy to write the code. Well, by the way, this is my context variables. I know from the batch that I want to collect the name, but I don't know the name yet. I can give it none, and a cart is empty. I want to put it in a list. Anyway, so this is the context variables that I will show you you guys when it's in the code later, and how we are going to make the chat, the agents update these variables as we go on in conversations. But now, back to the point, we have defined the workflow. Then it's easy for us to write a code to support this function. So let's focus on the receptionist first. For the receptionist, I need 3 functions right here for the agents to use. For the receptionist agent to use, I have 3 functions. Cutting function. Okay, now pay attention here, guys. So cutting function is a function. I want this this cutting function needs an item. It needs to know what item needs to add to the card. So right now I'm making it very stupid tool. You can only add. You don't subtract, right? And this is how it's going to be done in code. Yeah, this cutting will just add on to it. So you can make improvement on this function if you wish. And this is the way you update the context variables. Here we go. The card, add to it. And then in return, you need to use a result class where you can import the result class from swarm.types. So in the result class, you need to specify 3 things. Value is actually a string that will be given back to the agent. So basically, the agent will call this tool, and the tool will say, card updated, back to the agent, and the agent will know, good, we're done. The second argument to the result class is context variables. This is a way to update the context variables, right? Don't forget to use this line if you want to update the variable. Now, the third argument that you can specify is the agent, and it's going to be explicitly say that now after this function is called, the next agent is going to be blah blah blah. So you can specify it here, but for me, I'm not going to do it for the cutting agent just yet. Okay. For payment, I just want to do some quick dirty stuff. Payment succeeded. You can add details in this function in the actual production code, but I just want to show you again the structure of how this thing is done. Now, the last function is the function that updates username. It's the same way as we did for cutting system. You update the context variable, and then you use the result. Even though I haven't shown you here, you can not only update the context variables, you can add new variables in it. Update. You can say that, okay, if you have the name, update CRM needed, you can do that. So at the end, when this function got triggered, you will get a new variable called update CRM needed. Okay, maybe I'll leave it here just to show you that this works. Okay. Now, I have I've shown you 3 classes. Sorry, 3 functions or 3 tools that I want to equip to the receptionist. I want to skip this chunk of code yet. I want you to focus on this. So this is where I am going to define my agent. Agent receptionist. The name is a receptionist, and the functions or the tools that I'm going to equip it to this agent is these 3 guys that I just defined, right? Now, instructions. Instruction can be just a string or a callable that returns a string. And this is helpful because the way that Swarm repo was made is that you can input your context variables inside of this function, and then it will get triggered when the swarm client was run. So basically, imagine this. If you know a customer's name before this multi-turn, multi-agent chat session starts, you can fill in the instruction to the receptionist to greet that person right away. So it's kind of like have a better impression on the user, right? So this is the way to initialize context variables to the agent's instruction. Okay, so for this agent, I actually added a lot of instructions here. Helpful receptionist at the cafe. You'll be friendly and happily you'll be friendly and happily help a customer buy products from cafe. The cafe only sells specialty coffee beans, specialty coffee leaves, do not sell drinks. Right? Therefore, when a customer comes, just mention coffee, it means coffee beans, and you can politely clarify that to the customer. When customers just mention tea, it means tea leaves, and you politely clarify that to the customers. You can do small talk, but circle back to ask if you can help the customer choose products from our cafe. You're also responsible for carting system and payment system. When asked about what products we sell, ask the expert of the product. What product are available. When you're asked about details about products, you will ask other AI agents who are specialized to know more about the products. Okay, these are the instructions. I kept adding last few things because I got undesirable responses. You know, it could be my prompt is not great enough. Anyway, so here we go. This is our receptionist. Okay. Now let's move on to the coffee expert. The coffee expert only has one tool, and one of the tools is the coffee search. Again, I am going to do a very stupid thing, very easy thing here. So the coffee tool search will always reply as a string with this coffee data, in which it will be loaded here. So in the coffee data is the product master for specialty coffee beans. We only have 3 beans here, Yekachef, Blue Mountain, and Geisha. So yeah, this tool will only respond with this whole chunk of text. And that's it. And for this coffee expert tool, I specify that once this tool is finished, move the role back to the receptionist right away. So I want to close the loop here, because when I actually run it without specifying this one, without moving the role back to the receptionist, the main role is still stuck with the coffee expert. And when I ask it to add to the basket, it doesn't know. It doesn't know how to do, or at least it should not do that task. It still wants to do the task. So yeah, that's why I want to explicitly say that once you finish answering, move the role back to the receptionist. Okay. For the T expert, I did the same thing. We have a T data set, data expert here. We in this case have 3 types of tea: Dragonwell green tea, Gyokuro green tea, and this black tea. Okay, now I leave the return of agent out from the T search, because I want to show you that if you don't specify the rollback to the receptionist, the flow, the design of the flow that I want to achieve doesn't work completely. It doesn't work 100% of the time. Again, you need to remind yourself that generative AI is a fuzzy in, fuzzy out. You are not going to be able to promise the same performance 100% of the time. If you leave it alone, if it only relies on its capability, then you are not going to get 100% consistencies. So yeah, adding the specifying what role is next is helpful, and we'll see. All right, what we just did is we defined the 3 AIs, agents and their tools. Now we are ready to make connections. I wanted to do this way because I can focus on, with defining agent and their tools, I can focus on that guy really well. And once I have the items or the agents done, I can add connections, and that makes more sense. So connections, we need transfer to receptions, transfer to coffee expert, and transfer to tea. When you define the connections, and you can see that this connections only return the agent, right? And this is how you add on the connections to the agents. So you pick the agent, go to the function, and you extend if it has a list, or simply append if you have one element to it. So now these agents have more functions attached to it, and the recently added functions are the links, the hands-off functions. All right there. So let's actually create all these functions for real. Okay, so I'm running this guy. By the way, you can install it, the repo first using this command. It's available on its GitHub as well. Okay, so on to context variables. Defining my receptionist here, all good. Coffee expert, all good. Tea expert, all good. Connections, good. Now let's try running something. First, define a client. This client its main responsibility is to orchestrating the agents and messages. Okay. The first one I want to try is, what coffee bean do you have? Okay, and here we go. You do the run command with that client. I'm showing you all the options available here. You specify the agent you want to kick off this conversation with, and supposed to be the receptionist. Then you put in the messages in a OpenAI compatible format. You put in your context variable there. Max returns, right now I put it to infinity, so this conversation can keep going until the while loop is terminated. The model override, I tried to put it to GPT for a minute, it didn't work. You see that. Execute tools, default to true. I want the AI to trigger tools and the tool get to work properly. Stream, I don't want to work with that right now, and debug to false. So running this cell, everything is now packed. Send it over to OpenAI API, get the response back, and this is how it looks like. So yes, it's quite a lot of things, because when with this question it triggered agent hands-off, change the agent, tools triggered, and function got called or something like that. If you're trying to make sense here, is this guy. Okay, we need to transfer this to the coffee. Now the role is, we are going to trigger this function so that now the coffee expert is active, and here is the coffee expert thing. Okay, now I am going to use coffee search. Then it triggers a search function, in which the search function returns this whole thing, right? Here we go, returns the whole thing back to the coffee agent, and the coffee agent replies as a final reply, say, here are some of the coffee beans we have available, blah, blah, blah. And this is how it goes, okay? So it will get a lot of items in the returned messages because of the agent's hands-off and tool got triggered. Okay, but at least it's doing well. Now, if you want to try, quickly try this thing, the Swarm repo also provides you with a function that helps you run this thing in a loop. Sorry, here we go. Oh, okay. It's actually in here. Oops. So this function will help you run the demo in the command line. So every time you run this guy, it's going to start clean slate. You know, your messages is going to be empty list, and you'll be in a loop, where in a loop it has a helper function that print out the thing that you want to see. So I want you to use this one just to kick off quickly. So let's actually go and play with our agent. All right, here we go. So it's being run now. The text box that I need to put in what I want is at the top here, guys. Okay, I can increase it to you guys. So hi, Ben, I want to, so I can say, what coffee bean do you sell? Okay, starting Swarm CLI, then is it too big for you guys? Okay, you see what happened here. The receptionist answers some garbage here because this is not true. It's supposed to answer only 3 beans, right? Where is our database? Sorry. It's supposed to answer only this. So that is quite wrong. Okay. So I can say try again. So you see the problem here. The problem is we let the LLM judge what it needs to do, and the receptionist AI thinks that it can handle everything on its own. And it could be because my previous prompt say, Ben's, what kind of coffee beans they have. Now it's kind of confused. I think what it did here is actually updated my username. So right, let me just go check that now. Everything can go wrong here, guys. Okay, so to escape the loop, what am I trying to see? Okay, I need to click interrupt and escape. Okay, here we go. I want to check context variable. So yeah, the receptionist agent is so confident, it doesn't use any tool. This is not undesirable. This is an undesirable outcome. Okay, let's try it again. I'm rerunning this again. So I'm just going to say hi, Ben. Hopefully it knows that it needs to update the name. Okay, it's taking some time to get back. I see that it's kind of like long, like many seconds before I actually get a response. Yeah, now I have to double enter it. So let me just interrupt everything, clear all the variables, and restart my runtime and run everything. Okay. Well, you guys, live demo, Oh, before we continue, so I mentioned that I tried to override the model with a GPT-4o mini, but it wasn't successful, right? The model that the Swarm framework uses is still GPT-4o. Okay, I can just say Ben's hi. Hopefully now the receptionist uses its tool. Updated user. Now my name is Ben. How can I assist you today? What tea leaf do you sell? Now we focus on tea first. Hopefully the receptionist triggered the tool to transfer the role to the tea expert and then answer us. Hopefully. Okay, it's actually taking too long to decide. Maybe I need to press enter again. Yeah, somehow I need to enter to the box twice. So transfer to T expert, yes. T search, and this is a T catalog that we have. And the T expert say, I'm here if you have any other question. You see, the role is still with the T expert. Add, if I say add the black tea to cart, what is it going to do? The T expert says that it seems like we don't have the functionality to directly add items. This first is correct. The T expert shouldn't have the cutting system, but what it should do is it should transfer itself back to the receptionist so that the receptionist can trigger the cutting tool. And this can be because my prompting is not great, right? So let's go back to the T agent, and this is my prompt. You're expert in special tea leaf. You answer tea related question. You must use T search tool to retrieve information and use this piece of information to answer first. If the information here is not relevant to the question, you may attempt to answer with your own knowledge, but you must admit that you don't have the backup information. If the users ask about anything unrelated to tea products, you hand off to unrelated to tea products, you hand off to the receptionist. Maybe these two statements contradict each other, and that causes this problem, unreliable problem. Again, talk to receptionist. Let's try if I ask the T expert to put me back to the T receptionist. Yeah, it works. I want to add the black tea to cart. What is it going to do? Okay, now the receptionist, why does it know that this is a tea we are talking about? It knows because the receptionist see this whole conversation too. Okay, so all the active agent has access to both its own tools as well as the chat messages. That's why you can switch to the right agent that you want to trigger a tool and say that you want this tool to be activated, and in this case the carding tool. Okay, pay now. Your payment is processed, everything is good, done. Okay, so let's get out of this loop and see the context variable. Okay, all right, we are out of this loop now, and the context variables got updated. Here, my name is Ben. The cart is now having this black tea, and a new key is added to this context variable. Update GIM needed. Right. Okay, let's try it again, but with coffee. We'll go with the same flow, and you will see maybe improved performance in terms of the agent hands-off with the coffee agent expert agent. Okay, hi. what coffee bean do you have? Okay. Now we always start with the receptionist, and here we go. The receptionist knows that it needs to transfer to the coffee expert. The coffee expert trigger a search tool, and you notice this, the receptionist is the one who answers, because we've explicitly that whatever answer here, whatever answer from whatever answer from this tool, you answer it, but the agent is now this guy. This is how the Swarm framework allows you to explicitly switch to a agent that you think it's better suited for the task. So I can say add to cart Blue Mountain. Here we go. And yes, because it's now in the receptionist role, a receptionist can use a cart tool. And now I want to say, what about tea leaves? What would the receptionist do? It should switch role with the tea expert. Okay, I need to press enter again. Yeah, it now has a triggered tea expert, and we got the right product master data. Then I'll try add Gyokuro to card. Okay. How is it going to do? I think it would be stuck again with the T expert, and we need to switch the agent explicitly again. It's quite slow. Here we go, right? Exactly. So it doesn't really know. Yeah, see? This is hallucination. It says that Gyokuro has been added to your cart, but this is hallucination. It doesn't have a cart tool. Try again. I'm not sure what is going to happen when you say try it again. Okay, my god. I don't know what is happening here. This is new to me. Kind of like using a cart tool with T expert. Okay, now that made me question myself if I have made the wrong connection. So for the T agent, I add the transfer back to the receptionist link, and this is good. Right. I honestly don't know what this is happening, so I think this is the bug, and I don't like that. Get me receptionist. Yeah, I think this is a bug. To actually dig deeper into this, I need to get the messages, but I don't think I have access to it right now. So anyway, so now it's transferred itself to this, and the receptionist trigger the carding tool. Okay, pay. And should be done with the loop, I hope. Yeah, payment done. Good. Okay, let's get out of the loop and see what is happening. Okay, let's see the context variable now. Here we go. I just want to remind you that when I just run the reason session, I did not redefine the context variable, so everything else remained the same here, and that's why the Blue Mountain and the Gyokuro was added to the list of the card here. All right, so to be honest, it's a fun tool to work around, but it's still having some negative loopholes like we just explored, right? You need to actually specifically define the role of the agent right after the function or the tools that you want to use. in order to control the flow better. And it could be partially my fault or my bad as well. Maybe I prompt the agent not so well. But yeah, so there are definitely rooms for improvement. And one thing that I want you to realize is that testing this multi-agent system is still a pain, and a lot of people has encountered that. And I think it's an active research and development. So it's one thing for you to build a demo like I show you. You can build a demo, you have lots of fun in it, but when you want to productionize it, it's going to be hard work on evaluation. How are you going to automate it? How are you going to reliably evaluate fuzzy multi-turn conversations? And how are you going to measure the effectiveness of tool calling? Like, I want this tool to be triggered 100% of the time. How are you going to do it? And in order to solve that, a lot of components need to be done. Like, one of the things is the orchestration layer that the Swarm repo has done. And also of memories, sessions, and so on. So yeah, it's definitely an active research that a lot of people, a lot of research company, a lot of for-profit companies are working on right now, and even my own, the company I work with as well. So my verdict of the Swarm is it's quite fun, but if I'm going to choose right now, I will go with either Crew AI or LangGraph for production friendliness, I think, and the fact that the Swarm framework is only educational, is not going to be maintained. To me, it's just for like educational purposes, as explicitly mentioned from the OpenAI team as well. All right, and this is the end of our episode today. So what you've seen here is a very powerful and effective ChatGPT Canvas. I highly recommend you use it for writing anything like blog, poems, reports, emails, even maybe presentation pitches, I think. Yeah, it's very helpful. You can use other things like other tools like Anthropic Workbench as well. But yeah, this kind of like Canvas type features is very useful. Now, the second topic that we dove in today actually, it's Swarm. It's actually a peek for you to see how the future product that is related to multi-agent workflow from OpenAI will be, and you'll get a sense of how you should frame your problem. You need to draw a diagram. You need to section your code properly, and definitely once you have done the demo, it's going to be heavy on evaluation. All right, that's all for today, and thank you very much for staying this long. I hope this episode is not too technical, but before I actually let you go, don't forget to subscribe to our channel here, Case Done by AI. We are on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, X, and Substack, and we promise to bring you valuable, actionable insights to grow yourself and your business. All right, thank you very much.